right away alongside the general manager of the New York Mets, Sandy Alderson. Hi, I'm Steve Gelbs. Thanks so much for joining us on what is sure to be a fantastic night. And Sandy, let's dive right into this.
Yep.
Tomorrow, spring training home opener, which means the offseason really now has officially come to an end. When you look back on the offseason, beginning of the offseason, you were so focused on landing Ben Zobrist. With how it ended up working out, though, him going to Chicago, you were able to fill in the other pieces, and Yoenis Cespedes as the cherry on top. Was that maybe the best thing that could have happened to you guys?
Yeah, no, I think things worked out very well for us. You know, the first few weeks of spring training were pretty well scripted, given the fact that we did pursue Zobrist. But we had to pivot at some point and ad-lib a little bit. But I think overall, you know, I wasn't even at the winter meetings. Our guys did a terrific job there, and then getting Cespedes at the end of the offseason was exciting as well. So I think we're all very happy with what we're able to do, and now it's time to play.
Let's talk a little bit before we do get into the playing. Let's talk a little bit about that Cespedes negotiation, because it really did seem for the longest time like you guys were pretty much out on Cespedes. But I know, and it's been well documented, that you always were in favor of just keeping those lines of communication open just in case. Why did you do that? Was there something that you sensed that this maybe could be a possibility at the end of the day?
Well, I thought there were two reasons for doing so. One is that over the last several years, there have been players that have gone until the very end of the offseason before they've signed. And with that in mind, you kind of have to keep your powder dry and make sure that there's an opportunity, if an opportunity arises, that you can take advantage of it. And then specifically with Yoenis, you know, things didn't develop as quickly as probably he had hoped, perhaps. And so as time went on, it became more and more of a possibility. But you know, from our standpoint, it was like the old Ali strategy.
The old rope-a-dope.
We were the dope, and we were, but you know, it worked.
Not at the end of the day, though. You were at the dope. Not at the end of the day.
Right.
Well, let's talk now about the games, though, that you were saying, moving forward here, because one of the unique things about this spring training for you guys is that it really doesn't seem like there are many spots up for grabs. So with that in mind, what is your top evaluation priorities looking at these spring training games?
Well, I think that you know, first of all, we're happy with the composition of the roster and you know, what we have in terms of right, left. One of the things we're going to have to determine is how much platooning, quote unquote, we're going to do, and how much, you know, we're going to use matchups against right and left-handed pitching. But other than that, you know, we certainly want to stay healthy, and we're going to have to evaluate the depth that we have as well. We saw a lot of young pitching today. Some good, some bad as a first outing, but you know, that's something we'll be looking at over the course of spring as well.
Last spring training, you made a couple of trades right before the season started. Jerry Blevins, Alex Torres coming in. How much in March do you still scour the trade market? And the way that the team is constituted right now, are you open to adding a major league player still?
Well, it's possible. It depends, again, on, you know, how we see the last few spots on our roster. I'd be surprised if we went out and got a relief pitcher, for example. Certainly don't expect to go out and get any starting pitching. But we'll continue to keep an eye on our bench as well, and with a mind toward the right-left matchups and, you know, what we need in the infield versus the outfield. So our scouts are out. They're going to be looking, and so we'll be open-minded about it.
Expectations clearly sky high for the team, both outside and internally as well this season.
Yes.
How does that change, or does it change anything for your team in terms of when they take the field?
Well, I think that we have to be careful not to get too carried away with the hype, and I think Terry's very good at keeping the team very grounded. And I think also, you know, we have a roster of players who are well grounded. So, you know, the key thing for us is to keep working and keep in mind that nothing is preordained, and you have to work for it, everything you get, and hope for a little luck besides.
One of the reasons why the expectations are as high as they are, maybe the reason why the expectations are so high, is the young starting pitching. What is the plan in place? Do you have a firm plan in place for how you're going to ease them into the regular season and try and make sure that they don't get overworked early on here?
Well, we've got a program that is set up pretty much through spring training that identifies those days on which and to what extent each guy is going to pitch. So we certainly have a spring training schedule, and then as we get into the regular season, we'll have another schedule that we keep as a reference so that we know where we are at any point in the season. You can get to halfway or three-quarters through the season and say, we need to do this, we need to do that. We don't want to get to that point. We don't want to anticipate whatever issues may come up. And the key thing, of course, with those pitchers is health. And so, there's no way we can guarantee their health, but there are things that we can do to promote it. So
with those young pitchers, there has been some talk, some written about the possibility of perhaps starting extension negotiations with a few of them. How do you view those potential extension talks going, and do you have a plan right now, either towards the end of spring or once the season does begin, to get into those discussions?
Well, I think that the important thing to remember is that all of these guys are going to be with us for a while. There's nothing on the horizon that we need to be concerned about, nor do our fans need to be concerned about.
Fans don't sound too concerned about anything right now.
Not at the moment. They will be at some point. So right now we're focused on the present and realize that, look, they're all going to be with us for a while, and we don't feel anything pressing at this point to get resolved. But at the same time, we're open to it, and if there's a mutual benefit that exists, we're certainly willing to look at it.